the next day, through the website, like the Vivian Maier website said, this is Jeff Garlin. I don't know if you know who I am, but I'd like to meet with you. And point is, shortly thereafter, I met with Charlie. Not Charlie, I met with John. And he was having trouble. He wanted to make it into a documentary and this, that, and the other thing. I said something to him that should never be trusted. I'll produce it for you, and I don't want anything. You never believe that. But with me, it was the truth. And I said, but you need someone who will produce it with you, someone with Chicago ties, and someone who will bring out the best in you. Because I kind of had to talk John into directing it, too. He was meeting directors, other producers wanted other directors. And through Michael Moore and my wife and myself, we were acquaintances, but Michael Moore, he had worked with Michael Moore, Charlie has, and he had worked with my wife. And both of them, when I said what I was thinking, they said, oh, Charlie Siskel. And then I called you, and you're like, yeah, let's meet. And then, so he was brought on to actually be the hands-on producer, which I had no time to do, and also no experience. He had the experience. And so we all became like a team, and then these two became really a team, so much so that they became co-directors. That's what it naturally turned into. And I remember John calling me, what do you think? I go, that's the greatest. That's going to be great. And really, I love this movie so much, and I think it's amazing because I had nothing creatively to do with it. Okay? And as executive producer, I looked at it as my job was protecting them. That's why you see me as the only executive producer. It went the whole way. I'm the one who brought it to IFC, and I mean, there was a company, whatever, but I had a movie called Dealing with Idiots, which you don't have to see. It's on Netflix. It's your business. But I first brought in Netflix, and then I showed it to IFC. I showed a trailer that they had done, and IFC is like, we want this, and it worked out that way. And I did other things. I can't even remember. Maybe you remember. But the point being is, I stayed out of their way. There was no ego. And I got paid in 4 Vivian Maier prints. That's my payment, and I'm done. So, I'm sorry. By the way, that was a long response. And I apologize. I hope it was remotely entertaining. I hope you got something out of it. Forget everyone else. You. All right, go ahead with John.
I enjoyed it especially.
And by the way, it's probably the last time I'll speak. So go ahead.
So Charlie, did you know Vivian Maier's work at all? I mean, what was your, the point where you came into this?
So I had heard, like Jeff, I had heard the stories when there was local media about this discovery, and that media, the local media stories were picked up by national press. So there was some national press about it, but I didn't know there was a film in it yet. John, as it turned out, had started to contact some of the family members, as you see in the film, and started to get them to talk and tell their stories. And so he realized there was a film to be made. When I spoke to John, when we were introduced, I also learned that not only did he have over 100,000 of her photographs, but he had hours and hours of Super 8 footage and hours of audio recordings that she had left behind. And I realized that this could be used to tell this incredible detective story. That really, this was a film that had kind of 2 parts to it. One was a detective story to find out who was this person, Vivian Maier, who by all appearances was a nanny who somehow managed to take all of these photographs. And that was how we initially approached it. That Vivian was a nanny who somehow happened to take pictures. But as I think you probably experienced in watching the film, just as we did, what it really turns out to be is the story of a brilliant artist, a photographer first and foremost, and a nanny kind of secondarily. That being a nanny was really kind of a camouflage for her true calling, which was as an artist. That's who Vivian really was. And that was a discovery for us to realize that this is not the story of a nanny who somehow lucked into taking great photographs. Really, she was a brilliant artist who was focused on that one thing. taking photographs for decades and never letting anything get in the way, including her duties as a nanny. Sometimes, she would take these kids on adventures, and you start to wonder, are the adventures, to benefit the kids, or is it because she wants to take pictures and she wants to go to the parts of the city where she can find great subjects? The other part of the story, so part of it was this detective story to figure out who Vivian Maier was. The other part of the story was that John was crusading, really, to have Vivian taken seriously as an artist, and working to have her work seen.